and welcome to Toon Couch. Wait, fuck, you do it. I don't do it. Go, Magellan.
Hello and welcome to Chatz. I'm Rumpelstiltskin.
And I'm
Rumpum Tucker.
Griselda.
Yeah, that's good. Hello and welcome to Chatz, a television podcast, the TV book club hosted by two best friends. This is season 18 of our show, which we're calling Toon Couch Toon Brothers. Listen, what's zanier than trying to pick our next chat season from a huge pile of 64 different animated series? Well, the series themselves, of course. My name is Magellan, and I'm joined by someone in one of the deepest depressions the world has ever known.
Oh.
It's Allen.
That's not in... I'm just kidding. I'm fine. Hi, everyone. It's time to crack a cold one. This episode is sponsored by Ow, my nail. Ow, my nail. Dr. Pepper Zero. Ow, fuck, ow.
You're going to need to visit the Dr. Pepper after that.
I'm going to visit Dr. Chatz. Ugh, those darn cats. That was three references to completely different cartoons in one. Dr. Chatz, that darn cats, which is an episode of Futurama, and one of the episodes that we're going to be discussing tonight. Cheers, friends. Fuck! I love the caffeine. Ugh. It's 8 o'clock p.m. and I'm here to talk about some fucking cartoons. Fuck!
Amazing.
Oh my god, my waveform is
amazing.
nuts,
Good energy. I love that. Hey, we watched 4 episodes of cartoons today. This is our second episode of the first division in our bracket. So if people need a refresher, we have 64 series that we're going to be considering over the course of this season, split up into 8 divisions of 8. Within each division, each show will get 1 episode to wow us, to impress us. But then of those 8, only 4 are going to make it to a second episode. Last week, we talked about Ed, and Eddie, a couple other ones, Steven Universe, Whatever Happened to Robot Jones, Regular Show. Ed, and Eddie and Steven Universe have advanced to the next round here in the Cartoon Network Daytime Division. And tonight, this afternoon, whatever time you're listening is the time that it is, we are considering Adventure Time, Courage the Cowardly Dog, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, and Samurai Jack. I think, Alan, we can continue with the precedent that we set last time of discussing the shows in the order in which they were released. Does that work for you?
That sounds like a plan. That's the order that I watched them in.
Great. So with that in mind, we'll start with Courage the Cowardly Dog, which is our only 90s show this week. Raise your hand if you're a 90s kid.
I'm a cusper.
Courage the Cowardly Dog. Cusper. I'm a cusper.
I'm a cusper. Oh, I also have new sound effects, by the way.
Ooh, I like that one. Yeah. I like the bite and the jiggly saw. Those are my faves. Can I get the jiggly saw again? Yeah, that's nice. All right, so Courage the Cowardly Dog. We watched the first full episode, which includes 2 stories, A Night at the Cat's Motel and Cajun Granny Stew. The stories were written by John R. Dilworth, who's the creator of the show, and Irvin S. Bauer. It was storyboarded by John R. Dilworth, directed by John R. Dilworth, and aired on November 12th, 1999 on Cartoon Network. Alan, what happened in these 2 stories from Courage the Cowardly Dog?
Well, Magellan, in these stories, Courage and his owners, Muriel and Eustace, stop at a lonely motel to end their vacation, but it is owned by a nefarious red cat named Chatz, who harbors a penchant for feeding his guests to giant spiders. And in the second story, an orange Cajun fox repeatedly tries to kidnap a sleepy Muriel so he can use her in a Cajun stew. John, history with Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Yeah, Courage the Cowardly Dog was a show that I watched when I was a kid, but often if I was watching it, it was because I really wanted to watch TV and it was the thing that was on. Otherwise, I would kind of succumb to my feelings of unnervedness and turn off the TV if Courage was coming on. It creeped me out when I was a little kid. In 1999, I was but 6 years old. I wasn't ready to confront the sort of eldritch horrors that life had to offer. Uh, you know, later on, I would become a bit of a dark, brooding figure. But at this time, I wanted something zanier and lighter, and Courage the Cowardly Dog creeped me the heck out.
Yeah.
So I watched it, but not a lot of it. What about you? History with Courage.
Definitely watched a lot of it as it was coming out. It felt like, and this is sort of an ongoing narrative with the Cartoon Network daytime bracket, but it felt like you were watching a multiverse, especially because towards in the 2000s, Cartoon Network would release not only a lot of flash games intersecting all the different shows, but like ads and commercial breaks that would have characters from like Courage heading out people from Ed, Edd n Eddy and everything. So it felt like you kind of had to watch everything, which was really exciting. Even though, as you said, Courage the Cowardly Dog is a horror show for children, like pretty explicitly. John R. Dilworth, really weird dude. The TV show has the TV show, goodness, this cartoon has a very distinct visual style that I was kind of obsessed with, and like I knew was weird, but I almost feel like I've thought about it more as an adult. Like it just kind of was a show I watched, and I have like a couple of very specific memories of episodes. But generally, it's something that like people online will be like, remember the episode with like Return the Slab? Oh my god, so creepy. Or remember this episode? I'm like, yeah, I did watch that. That's the thing about like 90s nostalgia is a lot of it is just about acknowledging, yes, we did experience the same thing. That's fine. It's a good show. It got quite a lot of episodes, and it was well loved. And I don't know if Dilworth has like done any other major stuff, but it's very singular. It's very of its own unique shape. I looked up the art style stuff, and I actually found a quote from the Wikipedia that Dilworth was inspired by, quote, Depression-era Dorothea Lange photographs documenting Dust Bowl farm families.
Sure, yep. That comes through.
Explains my Dorothea Lange reference pre-pod. He wasn't completely out of me bum. That, and then I think I actually even read somewhere on Reddit, and it's Reddit, so who can verify it, that there actually was like a news report about a couple who may have gotten like caught up in a tornado, and then like nobody knew about them, and they actually lived in like the middle of a Dust Bowl desert, and they had a dog, and there was a photo of them, but then everyone in the comments was like, "Where's the dog?" And they're like, "We don't have photos of it." People didn't like take photos of animals that much back then. So this might be based in something, but I think it's at its core a really wonderful template to tell horror stories in.
Yeah.
Through the language of zany cartoon antics.
Yeah, definitely revisiting it now as an adult. I can really appreciate the style of it, because it is, like you're saying, so distinct. And you can see how much thought and intentionality and design went into creating a show that created that experience for me as a kid of like, oh, this is creepy. Things don't feel right. Like, I'm with you, Courage. I'm scared of this cat that runs a motel. I don't know about this. And a lot of I was skimming the Wikipedia page too and seeing a lot of the kind of critical response around it, especially the early seasons, praising the show for mixing that kind of almost surrealist and sometimes like hyper detailed. I was reminded, it didn't happen in these episodes, but there was a fair amount of superimposing the animation on photograph backgrounds, or like including photographic elements in parts of the show. So there is a very kind of scrapbooky and surreal quality to it that critics at the time were like, this is cool. And I also didn't know the show started its life when Dilworth made like whatever the original short was as an Academy Award nominated animated short. And then it became a show. It's like, whoa, that's cool. I was not aware of the kind of critical approval of Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Yeah, honestly well loved and rightfully well loved. I
Mhm.
mean, that dog is so damn cute.
Yeah.
They made a pink dog who has anxiety, rightfully, as you said, like has every reason to go into things like, in the theme song, he lays on Muriel's lap and is like, nice, and then just horrors unbeknownst to any man are brought upon him. Like, of course you're gonna,
Mhm.
but he approaches things with a confidence of like, I have to save my owner. That's what makes
Yeah.
Courage such a lovable character. I think we're gonna talk about animals a lot this episode. I think Courage is just such a relatable character. He's a horror protagonist who's like, well, I have to live because die. It's a cartoon. I don't die. I'm not gonna just let myself get eaten. So I
Yeah.
run. So I escape. So I do whatever I need to do. I make, and he has the power of cartoon logic. So at the end of the day, you're never really scared because the imagery is scary, but he's always gonna get out because he has infinite cartoon powers.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know. So I think that works to make the show have scary imagery but not be scary. Like, to me,
Yes.
it was like, I'm not scared. I'm just like, damn, that's fucking weird. If I have arachnophobia, then this Cats Motel episode is fucking me up, dude. Are you kidding me? Oh lordy.
Yeah.
And speaking of Academy Award winning, it looks like, yeah, Dilworth did a lot of like short animation before and after Courage, and a lot of that stuff did get like nominated for stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, we can, I think, dive into the specifics of the stories here, because I think A Night at the Cat's Motel is a great representation of what this show does that's unique to it,
Mm-hmm.
which is what you were describing of like, we're gonna make just like the eeriest, creepiest little place, and then the people within it are gonna be silly
Uh-huh.
in ways that you expect the main characters of a cartoon to be silly, but they're beset on all sides by like shades and horrors that are threatening to swallow them up whole.
Yeah.
So it's this really fascinating kind of cognitive dissonance going on, where it's like, oh my god, Muriel's like in the tub with a spider and Eustace is downstairs wrapped up in a web, and then Courage is like, oh, I gotta launch myself out of a cannon to get through the window. And you're
Right.
like, dude.
I hope this works.
Yeah.
It's just so it's the how he solves problems, right? It's like, this is the scariest thing of all time. In any other
Yeah.
context, my instinct would be to run or to shoot. And he's like,
Mhm.
I got Looney Tunes logic on my side, baby. That's all I know how to do. I'm gonna bring out
Yeah.
a big cartoon slot machine and and scam the guy out of his money later.
Yeah. Yeah, because what it really ends up centering, which I think is again unique for the show, is not like Courage doesn't have to figure out how to solve the situations.
Uh-huh.
He tries to find solutions, but that's not the point, because it's
Mm-hmm.
not like we as an audience are thinking through like, okay, Courage has this tool in the room and he's got to get here and he'll try to do it this way. He can do whatever. So really the only obstacle is his own belief in himself and his ability to do it, and his own investment in like trying to be brave.
Mm-hmm.
And the horrors are then exaggerated to the point where it's like, well, no way. Like, get out of there, dude. There's no
Dude.
reason to be brave here. Um, but I think it ends up being a show that's like powerful in this way of, he's always going to be anxious, he's always going to be scared. That's never going to keep him from actually trying to do something.
Yes.
And when he tries to do something, his abilities are like otherworldly magical powers
Yeah.
that, if he believes in himself more, would be even better. And he doesn't, and that's the issue.
The title of the show is the problem. Is the conflict. The
Right.
cowardly part is why he's not like a easily always heroic perfect. It's like he doesn't even
Mhm.
always fix the problem. He stumbles into the solution. Right?
Mhm.
Muriel technically is the one who hits the bad guy at the end. But Courage
Right.
is the one who plays and I'm not kidding, handball against the evil cat for the life of his owners, which is great. That reminds me of a really important thing I think about courage, and this is going to come up for all 4 of the shows we're talking about today. The dialogue, the way that people talk, because and I always used to be obsessed with this, and I still am. Muriel and Eustace have like these little short phrases, because it's like you kind of think about it like dog logic. Like they say the thing, go to the corner, be here, and then Eustace says, "You stupid dog." He hates him. He's the classic Elmer Fudd. I hate you no matter what you do. I'm always gonna complain. Courage speaks English, but not around people. Like Courage can talk to us and can break the fourth wall and be a fully voiced character who's like, I hope this works, in like a very like Looney Tunes way. But when he's around humans, the way he has to communicate is through this like. Can you describe the nonverbal Courage the Cowardly Dog talking to people? It's amazing.
Oh, I don't know if I could. In my head, Courage is silent. Like going into the episode, I was like, does he talk?
Yeah.
And then he talked, and I was surprised by that. Because I remembered him screaming, and that happens a lot.
Of course.
But he's kind of like, "Meow, meow, meow, meow," right? Like that's
Yeah.
sort of what he does, is like a dog utterance kind of thing. Yeah.
But with the dog utterance, he also he's like trying to communicate an idea. It's the horror movie thing of like, there's a big monster behind you, and instead of saying there's a monster, he has to go like, and then he turns into a monster to be like, what I'm telling you is that there's a monster, but people understand it. So he'll be like, bah! And they're like, oh, there's a monster. And he's like, and they're like, oh, it's a spider. Got it. Okay, got it. Thank you for explaining that to me, Courage the Cowardly Dog. And I love that. And I think, again, it's going to come up in all 4 of these shows, but just, I love cartoons where it's like people could just talk like normal people, but they don't have to. They are not beholden to talking. And a lot of the plots in Courage would be solved if he could just be like, hey, Muriel, can you please like not leash me up? I think you're in danger. Instead, he has to be like, Scooby-Doo, like doing references. It's just so charming. And like, if you click into that and you enjoy that, then like this whole show is good. They figured out that formula, and like every episode has that. He communicates through pantomime, essentially.
Yeah, and I think that ends up being a really great metaphor for anxiety and how it works, where when you're by yourself, you don't necessarily sense any impediment to your ability to communicate, because it's like, well, I know what's going on in my brain. I know what I'm feeling or thinking, or how I'm interpreting things. But when it comes to, okay, now I need to like get this across to other people. And if I'm socially anxious, that feels really difficult to do in a way where it's like I can't even quite locate exactly what the singular problem is. I just know that it feels like I'm wading through sludge to try to make myself heard. And for that to be a talking dog that can't talk to people is like, feels right as somebody who is socially anxious and was like very, very anxious as a kid.
Yes. Same.
I identified with Courage in that way, I think.
It's horror movie tension too. It's that's, you said it so beautifully. What if you were a talking dog but you couldn't talk to other humans? It's like, well, that's so funny and also so sad. Like, nobody hears him. He has to pantomime every single idea, and so he usually just pretends to be a dog. But when it's like, hey, I'm communicating an idea, you need to do something, it's like the words are just not going to come out. They won't understand me. They're going to misunderstand it. Like Muriel, God bless her, like attempts to understand him and usually does. Eustace like goes out of his way to not understand Courage, and I love that. I used to hate this character. I used to be like, Eustace fucking sucks. I love an asshole now. I think it's just so fun. I wish there was more of Eustace in the second episode, because I thought Cajun Granny Stew was like basically just the Muriel show. But I want to hear your other thoughts.
Eustace and Muriel remind me so much of my dad's parents, my paternal grandparents. Like they had the same body types, like decartoonified, and their dispositions. If
Yeah.
you had taken my grandparents and turned them into cartoons, the way that my dad will do an impression of his dad, it will be like, "Oh god damn it, you fucking whatever, da, da, da," which he was never like that as my grandpa. He was the guy who taught me how to play poker and how to fish and was really nice to me.
Yeah.
But like every story about him is he was like a real he could be a real hard ass of a guy. Um, and I think I experienced my grandparents kind of similarly to how Courage is like experiencing Eustace and Muriel, which is
Uh-huh.
like it's hard to communicate fully with both of them because you have Muriel on the one end who's like too too effusive or too kind of like coddly,
Yeah.
um and you have Eustace who's like a little too harsh or just kind of like being amused by things that he doesn't maybe
Understand.
understand the impact of. uh so I think that that was a really interesting, um the fact that because usually in a kids cartoon there's kind of like peer characters for the
Yeah.
protagonist to relate to and interact with. And I think that was something that was also like really unnerving for me about Courage the Cowardly Dog is how lonely it feels,
Yes. It's a
and
very lonely show.
how much it's focused on that isolation you feel as a kid
Yeah.
when like the only people you have to talk to in a given moment are these adults who you don't even quite understand. Like it's I can't fully be myself.
Mm-hmm.
I can be like a version of myself, and I love my grandparents and like here's some nice things about them,
Mm-hmm.
but the like a super exaggerated cartoon version of them, it's like kind of hard to relax a little bit.
Yeah.
um which feels like a very true to life kid thing that I think this show captures really well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like I don't want to say liminal. I think that word gets thrown around a lot, but it's like yes, a very lonely show, and it
Hmm.
only ever features four characters: Muriel, Eustace, Courage, and Villain of the Week. In this
Hmm.
case, in the first one, it's Muriel, Eustace, Courage, Cats, and the spiders. The spiders are not characters, so they're just an evil force. And then in the next one, it's Muriel, Courage, and the Cajun Fox, and that's it.
Hmm.
Like the second one's so good because it goes fully down the like Elmer Fudd, Bugs Bunny rabbit hole, so to speak,
Hmm.
of like
Hmm.
the bad guy wants something, the good guy doesn't want it to happen. Work it out. You guys have 10 minutes, and
Hmm.
I think it's actually way more efficient at like conveying the like. It's way less scary. Like I think
Yep.
that A Night at the Cat's Motel is borderline kind of scary, um, and the
Oh yeah.
Cajun. It's like it's got and it's it's covered in horror movie references. The hotel room is 666 and a half. We got some
Mhm.
Stephen King stuff in there. We've got some all sorts of stuff. Cajun Granny Stew is like basically a Looney Tunes episode.
Mhm.
But it relies on one of the other my other favorite things about Courage the Cowardly Dog, which is the voice acting. Like with a very limited pool of voice actors, not a lot of like major big players, uh,
Mhm.
they're able to get across so much by just having each villain have like a really distinctive, usually verbal tick. Uh,
Mhm.
which I
Mhm.
think the only cartoon that I know of that ever did something like this was the Proud Family, which was a Disney
Mm.
Channel cartoon I watched a lot. That was like, oh, these people have ticks the way that like humans do. This is weird.
Mhm.
In the case of Cage of Granny Stew, it's both the character, the villain himself, has this accent that he's kind of falling in and out of, and the music. Every time he does something, they play the same like little Cajun banjo. Oh, I
Mhm.
love it. I smiled so much at Cage of Granny Stew. It's so freaking fun.
Yeah, it felt like it was there as a bit of a come down from the horror segment. Like
Uh huh.
these two kind of need to exist in the same episode so that you know that it's safe to watch more of Courage the Cowardly Dog and it's not going to
Totally.
be all like spiders and near death experiences. Um and I think it drives home some of the themes of the first one around, okay, I'm this person, in this case Courage is a dog, but Courage is standing in for, like, I'm a young person who I have kind of a enough of a sense of the world that I'm starting to perceive problems or danger, um, but I don't yet have the skills to address those problems.
Mm-hmm.
And when I try, or when I think I'm trying, people aren't listening, or I'm not understood, or the like institutions that everybody's telling me are supposed to help me are part of the problem. Like when
Right.
Courage goes to Cats in the Cat's motel, like, hey, there's spiders in the motel. And the cat's like, I know, I released them. They're my spiders. Or when Courage goes to like, um, he calls the police or something in
Police.
Cajun
Yeah.
Granny Stew, and the police are the Cajun fox who's trying to kidnap Muriel. So
Courage
it's
the Cowardly
this,
Dog basically said, "Hey, Gab."
right. A calf.
Hey.
But the show is really playing out those fears of like, well, nobody's going to help me, or like if I try to get help it's not going to work. Yeah.
Yes, it's yeah. You have to solve your own problems. When it's a horror movie and you pick up the phone, it will not answer. It's like watching Scream, where it's like you guys know everything. You accounted for
Mhm.
everything that I'm gonna think. I'm gonna think you're gonna do this, and then you have to explain why that's not gonna work.
Mhm.
And I think that the second episode also like leans into its cartoon logic all the way. It's so enjoyable, right? The whole thing is that Muriel is sleepwalking, but so the fox
Mhm.
wants her to eat her, Courage wants her to save her, and so there's this part where they get a prop plane because why not? And she ends up on the top of the wing, and then she's sliding over, and there's this incredible little sequence where both Courage and the fox want to grab her, but she's on the other side, and they tilt the plane over and almost crash it. And so they both have to be like, "Wait, hold on, hold on, we can't walk over there." But she's gonna die, and we neither of us want her to die. I just
Mm.
and then speaking of cartoon logic, I keep saying that phrase over and over again. I wrote, I love when a Cajun fox takes Muriel in his suddenly appearing prop plane. Courage grabs on, turns the camera, and says, "And I hate to fly." I died, Magellan. I loved stuff like that as a kid. I love it more now. It's giving. What do I have here? What cartoon sound do I have? It's giving. It's giving splat. Thankfully,
Mhm.
Muriel did not splat. It's just funny. It's just genuinely really funny.
Yep.
Fun to watch.
Yep.
Any stray notes?
Uh, two quick laughs from the second one.
Meats and
At one
salami.
point, yeah, hey, come back here with that salami. That was one of them. And then the other one, Muriel's like, what a beautiful day it is. Look at the birds. And Courage says, I don't like birds. They always make fun of me. And then it cuts
Oh
to the
my
birds,
god!
and they're like,
I thought that
that
was
was
a
good.
reference to something. It was like three birds staring at camera, and I was like, "Is this some visual nod that I'm missing?" Um,
I think it's another just like anxiety thing of, is there something wrong with me that I can't enjoy the things everybody else does because I have this like deep seated
yeah,
fear or worry or belief about how it's bad that is like either not based in reality or based in a sliver of reality that other people are not attuned to.
mm,
Um,
well said.
and I thought it was really funny.
Well said. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, that's Courage the Dog. Cowardly Dog. Let's talk about Samurai Jack.
What?
So the second show we watched for this episode, Samurai Jack, we watched, even though this premiered as a all in the same night, right? As a
Mm-hmm.
three-part kind
Mm-hmm.
of TV movie,
Movie. Mm-hmm.
which is true of Samurai Jack and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. We were like, that's a lot of TV, and very early on breaks one of our core things, which is like, we kind of just want to watch 90 minutes of TV a week and not like, 100, 200 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and on, streaming or whatever, home video releases, these are separated into distinct episodes with distinct credit sequences.
Correct.
So we were like, okay, we'll watch the first episode of Samurai Jack, the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It was written by Greg Miller, storyboarded by Kevin Callier and Mike Stern, and directed by Gendy Tartakovsky. It aired on August 10th, 2001. Alan, what happened in the beginning?
In this episode, a solar eclipse releases Aku, an evil shape-shifting demon, from being sealed below the earth. He devastates the Japanese kingdom and abducts the emperor, whose wife sends their young son to train around the world to become an elite samurai warrior. Upon reaching adulthood, the young boy receives a mystical katana able to cut through virtually anything, frees his people from Aku's minions, and battles Aku despite his father's warnings about Aku's deceptive nature. But before the prince can deal his final blow, Aku creates a time portal that sends the samurai into the future.
Quick correction, storyboarded by Paul Ruddish and Gendy Tartakovsky.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I just swapped that in our document.
Mm-hmm.
History of Samurai Jack.
I fucking loved this show, dude. Oh my god. We don't need to go into this deeply, but Cartoon Network famous. I was just talking about this with my girlfriend yesterday. The Cartoon Network.com games were so iconic, and Samurai Jack had maybe some of the best, to the point where I learned this recently. There was the 2D platformer Samurai Jack game. The final level of that game inspired the developers to make Hollow Knight.
Whoa, cool.
Right. Yeah, and you see that level and you'll get it. There was actually a platformer level, and then there was another game that I remember unlocking parts of over time, and they had like codes to give you like weapons and stuff in the platformer one. But there was a game that was about doing the training montage in this. Like, you did a training sequence with each of the different mentors as a kid, which is such a great idea. Like, to make a whole game out of 11 minutes of TV, or actually this is like 20 minutes, is like riveting. So I watched the show as it aired for a while. I think this is a classic issue where like the airing fell out of order after a point, and then the show got canceled after 4 seasons. They weren't able to finish it, and then in, I want to say 2018, don't quote me on that, they were finally able to put out a 5th and final season on HBO Max. And nowadays, I mean, I have a history with Tartakovsky for my whole life, but like, yeah, that's my history of Samurai Jack. I never finished it. I've always been interested. I've heard that season 5 is great, and I've heard his new stuff is also great. What about you?
Yeah, I vividly remember watching this when it premiered, and thinking it was super cool. I don't remember like having the awareness as a kid to be like, oh, this is a show that I can follow and watch as it's coming out. So I don't know how much of it I actually watched, because also this kind of creeped me out a little bit too. And I was like more prepared to be creeped out, but still like when I was a kid, I couldn't sit through the Iron Giant because it creeped me out. Like my dad and I had to
broke
leave.
your heart.
I don't think we were even in the theater for that long. Like, but it just, something about kind of looming darkness was a bit hard to tolerate. So like Aku, and then we didn't get to this, but like the future stuff, that's all very like cyberpunky, creepy future type of thing. I was definitely like, whoa, this is cool, but also,
scared.
This is really scary.
I want to talk really
sick.
I want to talk quickly about Tartakovsky and like
what
I know about how the show came to exist and the production behind it, because he was really good. He's born in the former Soviet Union. He was born in the 70s, and he comes to the States and he goes to Cal Arts, where everybody became friends apparently, and all worked on Cartoon Network shows. And he's really good friends with Craig McCracken and Lauren Faust. They're all like really good pals. I was telling you earlier, that must be the greatest group chat in history. And he makes the show called Dexter's Laboratory, and it blows the fuck up.
Dexter's Laboratory so much.
Trans icon Mantark. Yes. Yeah, iconic show. Then does it again. Powerpuff Girls. You're like, oh my god, relax. You made like the best show for kids, the best show for girls. You're working on all this stuff. He's got his hands in like all of the stuff that is rising Cartoon Network up above your standard kids cartoons to like stuff that is standing the test of time.
Yep.
And after those two, Cartoon Network's like, okay, you get a blank check show. You get to do whatever the fuck you want. And he was like, I really like westerns and samurai stuff, so I just want to do that. And I think I read somewhere he was having recurring dreams. Let me see if I can find the quote. Of walking around a like abandoned wasteland as a samurai with his girlfriend. And I was like,
Whoa.
you have to have a certain kind of brain to have that kind of recurring dream. That's amazing.
Whoa.
Let me control F dream on this computer. Yeah, a recurring dream where he wandered a post-apocalyptic Earth with a samurai sword and traveled the world fighting mutants with his crush. So what an inspiration. And like, yeah, we didn't get to see the future stuff in this, but that was the other thing that really enamored me with Samurai Jack as a kid was like, we get the visual and like sound language of Dexter's Lab and
Mhm.
Powerpuff Girls. If you know, you know what a Tartakovsky show sounded like. But now we're filtering that through this guy's just pure the stuff I think is cool. Samurais, future flying cars, Scotsmen yelling for some reason, women, just like weird and like stuff that's out there and horror stuff and kung fu movies. Like even this montage, right, where Jack is training. He doesn't have a name yet, but he will get called Jack when he goes to the future. He's training with all different people, and you're like, I can tell like what movies you're a fan of, and like where all these little inspirations came from, right? It's such a show that wears its references on its sleeve. And when I was a kid, it always felt like expansive. It was like there must be so much more to this than what what I know, what I'm seeing.
Yes. Yeah, I felt that way too.
It leaves blanks, which I think is what made so many people fall in love. It felt at the time like it was being marketed as Powerpuff Girls, but for boys. But in reality, like this was just a really cool, inspired, visually so striking show that uses minimal dialogue and like visual storytelling to tell a really effective narrative. And like doesn't bog itself down with lore either. Like you were talking about, you didn't watch the show in order. And you're like, I just kind of watched it. I too just like kind of watched it and was always like, why are we now in the past again?
Yeah.
And like for the first 4 seasons, there was basically next to no character development, like almost nothing. Just like episode after episode of like, the Hulk TV show, just wandering samurai, going to different villages, figuring out a problem and solving it. The Mandalorian is this. It didn't need an overarching plot. And then season 5 is like, well, hold on. We get one more season. He has to kill Aku now. That like really has to happen. It's just he has this one bad guy who he can never seem to beat. There's always one stupid little, no matter how good he gets. So there's one thing in the way. It's so cool, and I could espouse my love of the show forever. Yeah, I fucking love it if you can't tell.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really a testament to what can happen when you give somebody who's like well practiced at their craft the blank check that you were describing, and it's just like do what you think is awesome. Because you can totally imagine the pitch for this show being like, okay, or this episode, okay, we've got this kid, he's training to be a samurai warrior. The Cartoon Network folks are like, great, this is awesome. So the show is going to be about like this kid who's like living in Japan and da da da. It's like, well, there's sort of this kind of like reality swallowing ancient evil demon that towers above everything within the world.
Yeah.
And like kidnaps his dad and then he gets sent off to train in secrecy for years. And they're like, okay, so the show is about this kid who's like training out in the world. And it's like, well, no, that's the first 10 minutes. And then he comes back and he faces off the demon and fights it and then gets poofed to the future.
Yeah.
They're like, what?
Okay.
but this pilot is just so masterful
Hmm.
every step of the way. Um, with like it's the efficiency of the storytelling and its confidence in like, okay, actually dialogue for these first 10 minutes would get in the way
Correct.
of what we're trying to communicate to you. It would actually impede the show's uh, ability to get a message across if we had these characters talk. So they're not going to until it's absolutely necessary. Um, and just like you can feel the steady hand at the wheel as you get taken through that montage sequence. Um, yeah, it's so cool. And also it's like I think fun for us right now because it's very Xena. The sort of like
Yeah, yeah.
I hung out with
Wandering.
Robin Hood and learned how to shoot arrows, and then I went to the Vikings to sail.
I went to
Um,
Africa to learn how to cut down fruit
yeah,
and do melee
yeah,
combat stabs.
yeah. So that whole sequence is really cool.
That's the magic of it. You hit the nail on the head, Magellan. It's a confident show run by a confident showrunner who knows exactly what he wants it to look like and feel like and to sound like, and every line of dialogue is deliberate. I think that was like
Mhm.
for me something I always found odd about later Samurai Jack, especially like I believe the first episode after this stuff is the Scotsman one, which like
uh-huh.
is it's a fan favorite because it's so different than the rest of the series. Like, what if, for those who don't know, there's a Scotsman character who's like a very loud, boisterous guy. That I can't remember if Jack is like friends with him or they fight or there's a big bridge that they have to traverse. Um, when the show the dialogue does get in the way, it's for comedic effect. It's like this is a dialogue episode, and that's funny. When
Right.
when we're being serious, we don't talk, which is the most like samurai movie thing ever. You don't need to talk; you let the action do the talking. The sword does the talking.
Mhm.
So cool, and I cannot talk enough about the art style, y'all. I cannot because it's must be it's so
Thank you.
uh, um it's so inspired. I keep saying that. Like
Mhm.
it looks like ancient Japanese reliefs, like old drawings, especially the very beginning. I was like, am I looking at like real famous paintings or is this the show? And these very, very harsh, straight and curved black lines across
Yeah.
everything. It's just yeah, it has a look to it that's kind of enchanting as well.
Yeah, there's this attentiveness. I didn't really think about it until now, but you can feel what Dexter's Laboratory did for this show because
Yeah.
you can imagine Dexter's Laboratory. There's a lot that you need to do visually to communicate. Here's the gadget that Dexter made,
Yeah.
and look at it, and here's what it does.
Uh,
Um, and I think a lot of the visual language here in Samurai Jack that is these very kind of like decisive close up movements, unsheathing the sword, or we're like kind of holding it up in the air and looking at it that way. Um, it feels straight out of like you've got Dexter pulling the gloves on, or like it's my ray guninator.
yes.
Whoa, look at it, close up of the thing. But when you take that visual language and apply it to um, this set of objects and costume pieces that are much simpler um, and have like more of an elegance to their form.
Mm-hmm.
I think it creates the effect that you're describing of like I feel like I'm looking at a painting or something because there's like this close attention on elements that in a vacuum you might not think to put so much close attention on them. And then you get these really cool shots. Like one of my favorite visual moments in the episode is um, when Samurai Jack is facing down Aku and he's like, I'm gonna beat you.
Mm-hmm.
And then he has the sword, it's like close up of his face. The blade of the sword is right in front of his face. And in the blade, you see Aku's reflection and he's laughing
Yeah.
at Jack. And you're like, holy shit, that looks so cool.
Yep.
And that comes out of this this kind of like direction philosophy of we're going to study the elements of this super closely. Like we're going to look really closely at the sword
Yeah.
and get everything visually out of it that we can. Um, and it is just it's a really impressive, um, visually impressive show because of that, I think.
I think part of that too is, and this is something that most of these shows do well, and it might be this like school of learning. Maybe it's how they learned it in college, or whatever. Silhouettes. This show has
Mm-hmm.
incredible specific silhouette. You could black out Aku and Samurai Jack, and you would be like, I know exactly what show this is. I could probably tell you what episode it is. All of the villains have that. The music has that. Um, you know, the closest thing I can think of in like other animation is something like Samurai Champloo, where it's like, what if we jammed
Mm-hmm.
together the past and the future and made a samurai? But the difference is Samurai Champloo is like just doing its influences. It's like it is hip
Mm-hmm.
hop and it is samurai films. This is blending its influences to create something wholly unique. Like Samurai in the future is nowadays like, yeah, it seems a good idea we've seen before, but it feels both very similar to what you've seen before and also completely unique. And the only stuff I can compare it to genuinely is other Tartakovsky stuff. I'm like, this shot reminds me of
Mm-hmm.
Powerpuff Girls. This shot reminds me of Dexter's Lab. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. That's it because he had an art style and he still does. I even see like his HBO show Primal, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Also like very little dialogue, if not no dialogue, like way more violent. Looks just like Samurai Jack, and it's like what he just got it. He kind of figured it out and was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I know what to focus on. It's
Mm-hmm.
silhouettes and it's detail, like you were saying. That's kind of it.
Yeah. And I think it's part of the novelty of it, I think, is making shows like Dexter's Lab or Powerpuff Girls where you are showing the audience things that they haven't seen before.
Uh-huh.
So that is how you engage with that world visually. And then you get to Samurai Jack and you're showing us a bunch of things that we have seen before, but you're showing them as if we have not. And
Yes.
the effect that that has on how we engage with it, and also what that opens up to, like you can then include things that we have not seen before, like Aku's tower, where the inside is all these kind of like spiky red geometric jutting out pieces.
Yes.
um and we're not like, oh my god, this is a totally different show. uh it all kind of fits within the same visual language. It's really cool the way that that works.
Mm-hmm. It ends up being simple. That's what we mean by when we say it looks effortless. Is like through its uniqueness, it manages to not like you're like, yeah, that's Aku. Of course, he absorbs all the arrows and then shoots them out of his arms. Like that's what Aku does. They never
Hmm.
had to say that. They didn't have to have dialogue where he was like, "And I reflect my spell at you." It's like no, that just the visual language tells the story, and Tartakovsky's work is a testament to that.
Yeah.
I do want to, speaking of Aku, shout out Mako, R.I.P. One of our greatest
Yep.
voice actors, Chatz alum, Uncle
Yep.
Iroh. Uh, and I believe they recast him for season 5, and they kept him silent for a lot of the series. But yeah, he's
And they
so
used the
good.
same guy who did the Iroh
Yes,
part, yeah, in Avatar.
after Mako passed, yeah, it's great
Yeah.
to hear him. It makes me happy. Um, I love his specific delivery in this. The laughing, the cackling. It's sort of like Courage has his cackles, and then Aku has his cackles. Everybody has their like iconic laughs, you know.
Hmm.
Anything else you wanted to bring up? Any like stray notes on? This is like one of the best shows ever made. I'm sorry to say it. I could talk about it all day.
um yeah, no, it's good. It's really good.
You have to
It's a
watch
really
it,
good
y'all. Go find it. It's on Tubi.
show.
Watch at least this fight. You're gonna want to watch the whole movie. I remember everything that happens after this. It's great. It's epic. It's sick. There's some episodes that are stupid, but in like a funny way. You know, in the Tartakovsky, like, oh my god, this episode's ridiculous. But
Hmm.
they're all stunningly creative and unique looking. So I love Samurai Jack, and I want to talk more about it in the future. Shall we take a quick break before we move on to our last two shows?
Let's do that.
We'll be right back after this brief musical break to discuss Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends and Adventure time. Back after this. Hey everybody, welcome back to Toon Couch, Toon Madness, the cartoon bracket battle show from Chatz Television Podcast. My name is Allen, and I'm joined again by Magellan for part 2. Hi Magellan, welcome back.
Hey, what's up? I'm here.
Oh shit,
And I brought my imaginary friend, this cat.
Did you read the inspiration for Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends?
I did.
Did you realize that you are in fact Frankie?
Yeah, fostering some imaginary friends. That's right.
That's right.
It made me
folks.
happy.
It's Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends from Cartoon Network. We watched the first episode. We watched the first part of the pilot short movie, which is called House of Blues, BLOO''S. House of Blues was written by Craig McCracken, the showrunner, storyboarded by showrunner Craig McCracken, Lauren Faust of My Little Pony fame, Brian Larson, and Chris Dent. The episode was directed by Craig McCracken with Robert Alvarez and Randy Myers on animation direction. This pilot aired on August 13th, 2004. Magellan, I was 10 years old. What happened in Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends? House of Blues, part 1.
In this episode, 8-year-old Mac is forced to send his imaginary friend Blue to Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. But the two fight to stay together when Blue risks being adopted by another kid. Gasp.
I love when part 1 of a pilot ends and it's like, is the show gonna happen? You're like, I wonder. I hope so. I really hope so. Oh boy, did you watch this when it came out, Magellan?
I did, yeah. I remember being very aware that they were doing the movie, so they must have been effectively advertising it.
Yep.
During other shows. I remember watching it when it came out. I remember really liking it. And in my memory, this is like the last new Cartoon Network cartoon that I watched in that way. I think this is kind of the cutoff point where Cartoon Network shows from this point forward are kind of in that stretch of like, I was too old to be watching Cartoon Network all the time and too young to be sort of like a nostalgic millennial who wanted to watch cartoons again. So the Foster's has a special place in my heart because it's also just such a sweet show. And I was very much an indoor kid who, I don't know that I had an imaginary friend per se, but I would like do character voices and make them have conversations with each other to amuse myself. So this, I think the show appealed to me as a kid who's like, am I supposed to stop doing this at some point as I get older, or is this just kind of like how I get to continue to be? But what about you? Did you watch this when it came out, or do you have history with Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends?
Yeah, I watched it again to a certain point, and I think this one I just aged out of, which is sad. Like similar to Mac theoretically aging out of Blue in his friendship with his imaginary friend. I did have an imaginary friend for sure. I would communicate with them via a McDonald's Transformers toy, and I loved them very much. And there was a certain point when I was watching the show where I was like, I don't feel comfortable sharing it.
Oh, okay, that's totally fine.
Their name was Wolfblade.
Cool, that's awesome. That'd be a great character in Foster's.
Yeah, Wolfblade was fucking sick. That's true. It's true.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I remember being like, I know this is weird. Like I I was the kind of kid, because I was very sheltered and didn't realize I was sheltered, I would like do things that I was like, well, kids are supposed to do this, even though I was probably like, I was like too self-aware. Like I have a very specific memory, speaking of Transformers, of I bought a Transformers toy. It came with a comic, and I like dirtied up the comic and then left it overturned on the floor of my bedroom to make it look like I was a kid who like read comics and had a mess in my room. I like remember like rubbing some food in it and being like, ew, it's a gross, he's got comics on the floor. And it was like a promotional 3-page comic for Free Comic Book Day or something.
You're like the production designer of your own room.
Exactly. So that was why I think I had an imaginary friend. I was like, you're supposed to have an imaginary. That's like part of it, right? We also had a friend in our a person in our elementary school who brought a plank of wood to school to recess once to be like Johnny from Ed, Edd n Eddy. So like these shows had a choke. Even my girlfriend like was on the CartoonNetwork.com website. Like we all just, this is our life.
Of course.
You know? So I definitely was aware of Foster's, and was like watching this movie. This premiere was very hyped. I watched it all the way through that Wilt movie. You know, a lot of these always had like a movie that was either a mid-series finale or a series finale, and I didn't watch when it came back and then they brought in new characters. I just heard a lot.
Yes, that sounds like where I stopped too.
I might have gone, like I said, I might have gone too old. I might have gone too busy in middle school. But you just hit a point after, you know, elementary. You come back from one summer break and you're like, I don't really want to watch the same cartoons anymore.
Yeah.
But I read what later Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends is. Are you aware of Boo?
No. Who's Boo?
So Boo is a young girl. Let me get this all correct, please.
Like from Monsters, Inc.?
No, is it Boo? What is her name? New girl Foster's. This is important.
Okay.
Home format, because this is like kind of part of what I was gonna say. Here she is. What is her name though? I'm looking at a picture of her. Goo. Her name was Goo. I think I maybe watched like an episode or two of her. Because I show you a picture of her, you might be like, oh yeah. Here you go. This is Goo from Foster's.
This feels like the Fairly Odd Parents era where there was like the baby. Oh, Goo, I know. Yeah. Goo, I know.
Goo was like the show's later half attempt to like reignite the show's energy, because her whole gimmick was she had an overactive imagination, and so she overpopulated the home.
Okay, yes, I remember Goo.
So
Goo.
she's kind of like a chaos.
She's gay, it seems, and that's nice.
She's wearing rainbow. That's right, folks. A black girl voiced by Grey Delisle.
Okay then.
Yeah, so I didn't watch much of the Goo. I remember it, but I don't like, and I didn't watch. I read about the finale and I was like, I don't know what happened here. I thought the show was so cool. I think it has such things that we've already talked about. People talk in a unique way. The art style is wildly original. It wears its inspirations on its sleeve. It's remarkably funny, and it's serious, but not too serious. It's not grim. It just like acknowledges the realities of life. Sometimes you grow up and you can't have an imaginary friend anymore.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah.
The inspiration I was referring to earlier was Craig McCracken, who was actually the showrunner on Powerpuff Girls. And whenever we get to that show, we'll talk about that. Tartakovsky was more of an art director, but they worked very closely. Creates the show because him and his partner, Lauren Faust, would adopt and foster animals. And he liked the feeling of like not having to get rid of the animals. And like, what if there was a place that you could bring all your foster animals to, and they would all like hang out? And Magellan, as somebody who fosters animals with your partner, how did that feel? Did that resonate?
It feels really lovely. Yeah, I think there's something in this, because like that scene where Mac's mom takes him into the room and she says, you need to get rid of Blue.
Yeah.
In my head going into the show, it's like, oh, was the thing that like adults can't see imaginary friends or something? But no, Blue is a fully sentient person who lives in this woman's house, and she's like, you need to get rid of him.
Does not pay rent.
And that like fries my brain and hurts my heart in the same way that like obviously not the same way because this is fictional, but in the same way as like when we get a foster kitten or we learn about a foster cat or whatever, and it's like, oh, they were abandoned.
Mm.
Like, why are people out there abandoning animals? Like, I don't understand
Yeah.
that. And I really love on that level the vision that the show has of like, we're gonna tell this story about this place where like people who care about this being more humane and care about the humanity or the personhood or the value of the life of non-human creatures,
Mm-hmm.
they're the center of the story, and their work or their passion is like kind of the focus. I think that that's really cool. And it also, just like by the structure of the show, ties that to this affirmation of wanting to carry your childhood interests and
Mm-hmm.
passions and imaginations with you into adulthood. So I think it's just a really special, sweet idea that I enjoy very much.
Such a cute premise and such a good blueprint for um, all sorts of wacky, insane adventure. Like ultimately, this is a show that is an ensemble of cartoon characters in a big house, and
Mm-hmm.
like that's really what it is. But like the setup for why they're there is like so laden with like heartache, not heartbreak, but just heartache of like, oh,
Yeah.
there's that moment where uh the the bunny guy, I keep trying to remember his name,
Mr.
Harriman.
Harriman.
Yes, put some respect on his name, Mr. Harriman. Is like, yeah, everybody who came here like was not was abandoned essentially. It's really fun, like, oh my god, Eduardo and Coco and Will, like that's great. All of them have a heartbreak. All of them have a kid who at one point was like, I no longer want you or I cannot have you. And
Mm-hmm.
I even as a kid, as like a kind of like depressed young kid, I was like, I get this. This feels right to me.
Yeah.
This story feels, I'm resonating with something in this.
Mm-hmm.
I loved shows that would acknowledge the sadness of like being a kid sometimes. Um,
Yeah.
and like Mac and Blue's friendship is something that needs to be studied. It is so warm and like goofy in that way that boys can be goofy with each other and like make references that only the two of them get. It's very similar to what should the show we're going to talk about next, like Finn and Jake, where you're like, oh, you guys have like history, but
Mm-hmm.
for Mac, it's like Blue provides him comfort and stability. He created a character who is not weird and powerful like the Extremosauruses, which are an awesome concept. Instead, he created somebody who's basically his equal. Like, what if someone was a little bit more confident and cocky and funnier than I am, but was
Mm-hmm.
basically otherwise my bestie? That's the
Yeah.
thing he wanted. Was he wanted a friend?
Yeah. Yeah. I think this ends up being a show that's about found family,
For sure.
and about kind of like non-traditional childhoods, non-traditional family structures or living situations. Um, it being a foster home that is like the central location. The imaginary friends are not kids, but I could imagine someone who is a kid in foster care, that being meaningful to them, that the so many of the main characters like have this that history that you're describing of like some sad shit happened in my life, and I'm not defined by that. It exists, and I'm going to kind of like process that but also live the
Mm-hmm.
life that I want to live. um and with the Mac and Blue relationship, the show makes it very clear from the beginning that what you're describing of like Mac made Blue to be a source of stability, but also a buddy to play with. Why did he do that? Because his brother torments him, and he
Yes.
just wanted to have a nice brother. Like Blue is basically Mac's brother
Yeah.
that he wants to have.
Because Terrence sucks
Um,
ass and should die.
because Terrence sucks.
Awful.
And of course, like Terrence sucks for, reasons that we're going to empathize with later.
Yeah.
And that is great too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And I think this first episode does a good job to show like where do imaginary friends come from,
Yeah.
and then imagining that like the things that we make, or like the kind of survival mechanisms that we create to take care of ourselves, do care for us, and we're allowed to kind of like grieve growing apart from them because they like filled a role or a position that we wanted a person to fill,
Yeah.
and there wasn't a person there to do it. Yeah.
Blue has that like comedic rambling to Mr. Harriman at the end where he's like, here's all the reasons why Mac, needs I need to stay with him. And he actually like reveals very quickly in like rapid dialogue some really like important sad stuff where he's like, yeah, his mom works a bajillion, gajillion, infinity hours, and then she comes home and she's tired and she doesn't even talk to him. And you're like, that's like you said, like that explains why Terrence is the way he is. He's like, I just control you and I tell you what to do and you do it because I'm basically your dad. And he doesn't have a brother, so he's like, I just want someone who listens to me and hears me. Like Blue is not remarkable, right? A lot of people made imaginary friends who were like Eduardo, gigantic, safe, friendly, but like, what if the monsters were nice? Or Coco, what if the things that made my brain feel weird were like made manifest? Or I want a guy to play basketball with. Blue is just like, again, it's just, what if I don't care what he looks like, what if he's blue? That's my favorite color. It's so simple. So simple, and I love it. I love Blue. Yeah. I did note, by the way, we have another Chatz alum in this episode. The voice of Mac is Sean Marquette, who was young Maddie in 13 Going on 30.
Oh, nice. Yeah, same hairstyle.
Same hairstyle, same outfit. If you watch the beginning of 13 Going on 30, you'll hear it. And like knowing that that's Mac, you'll be like, wait, whoa, wow. He's got the same like pre-pubescent vocal affect. We get Mr.
Another Chatz alum who we named already is Gray Delisle. And true. I think what I learned from this episode that I've always known. This is what happened. Mac's mom, comes on the screen, or like the bottom half of her, and she's like, I'm a girl boss mom and I'm gonna be stern with you. And it's like, the mom's kind of attractive voice wise. Who's the voice? Fuck, it's Gray Delisle. She got me again. Anyway, Frankie. Yeah, I remember loving Frankie. Frankie's so cool. Like the epitome of my gender envy experience is probably Frankie from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Who's the voice? Fuck, it's Gray Delisle. Oh my god, fuck you.
I grew up loving Basil LaShawn. Wait, that's not us. That's a different actor. No, sorry,
Jennifer Hale, who's also great
in that same. Yeah,
but I think the only celebrity crush that I've ever copped to on Chatz television podcasts is I have a big crush on Gray Delisle. And I'm willing to say that here in this episode. Yeah.
She's cool. I'll say that. She's very cool.
Yeah.
She's the voice of our child. Tara Strong voicing Terrence. There's like four voice actors in this show, and they're all the greatest of all time.
I know.
Straight hits. Her playing Terrence is so funny because it's very clearly a young woman doing a teenage boy voice, but like that I think is better than like an adult male trying to do teenage boy's voice and missing the the way that their voice goes up, their pitch is not there yet. That's perfect. Mr. Harriman, I'm not sure who voices him, but I love that voice. It's just a show of good voices.
Phil Lamar is Wilt.
Oh god. Is the Duchess? Who voices the Duchess, Magellan?
I want you to find this out.
No, it can't be. Please, no.
Yep.
Gray Delisle!
She got me again.
No! That's awesome. She plays everyone. It's like half the cast of the same people, but Tom Kenny's Eduardo, SpongeBob. That one you hear once you know again. Like Tom Kenny doesn't. But he's doing Spanish.
Tom Kenny. Yeah, that's weird. I don't know, guys. I don't know about that.
No, I like it. I think that Eduardo's
I like Eduardo a lot.
I like
Yeah.
Eduardo more now as an adult because I think I've become Eduardo. I'm like big and
Uh-huh.
hairy and like really lovable, and I wouldn't hurt anyone.
Yeah.
I loved him as a kid. Now I really love him. But he speaks Spanish, and then sometimes he says a full sentence, and then somebody says back what he said. So it's kind of like a background way to learn Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
it's a for 2004, that was cool to have
yeah,
a Spanish speaking imaginary friend in the show.
yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I know you said, speaking of, we always find our anxious icon in each show. Wilt is a kindred spirit in a lot of ways.
I loved Wilt. A core member, I can't remember if this is a later part of the pilot movie or a different episode, but I think all the time about there's an episode where they go to the mall and Wilt gets stuck at the front door because he's holding it open for everybody, and he
Mm-hmm.
spends like the whole episode holding the door open for
Mm-hmm.
people. I think about that all the time.
It's episode 7 of season 1. It's called Store Wars. They go to the
I
mall.
think about that all the time. Identified with that heavy as a
That's my
kid.
nightmare. Also, the episode's written by Lauren Faust.
There you go.
Yeah, it's great. The background characters are great. Just so vivid. Everybody feels like, again, silhouettes 10 out of 10. Character work, voice work, animation. I want to talk about this art style. It's very. I
Mm-hmm.
think I read that it was inspired by like vaudeville, and like old vaudeville
Mm.
art, and then the theme song is sort of like a vaudeville remix. Like a what if vaudeville someone like dropped a vaudevillian
Yeah.
group and knocked them down the stairs. Just like insanity made
It
manifest,
feels
which is
very
kind of
like what was that called? That genre of music that was like swing, electro swing.
electro
It's
swing.
like
Yeah,
proto electro swingy kind of thing, or
yeah.
like somebody's on the piano doing like Scott Joplin stuff. Um, yeah, it's fun. I like that song.
It there's the whole show has this like 60s, I think, psychedelia art style
Mm.
is the way that they phrased it. Victorian designs being made into like creepy designs, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
not too, there's enough story to make you care. Like this is the only one of these episodes that we watched that genuinely, well, I guess Samurai Jack had it, where I was like, oh my god, cliffhanger. But I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, this is a weird, serious cliffhanger for Foster's, where Mac
Mm-hmm.
is like, I'll be back. I promise. I'm not leaving. And Harriman is like, he is not coming back. You just lost your best friend. You're like, as a kid, I would be like, no, I can't wait until after the
Mm-hmm.
commercial break. I genuinely believe it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
just enough story, but not too much. Like, I love the Extremosauruses. I think that's a brilliant concept. Essentially, they
Mm-hmm.
have this big ass cage in the backyard of the Foster's home for imaginary friends that are created by teenage boys who get overactive and want to make violent creatures. So I believe that comes back in the end of the pilot. I don't think that's like something that they like pull out a million times. I believe it's in the pilot that comes out. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like creepy in the way that like Powerpuff Girls villains were sometimes creepy. You're like, what is
Mm-hmm.
that? There's a why does a tentacle arm grab Mac? I don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the show like remembers that imaginary friends are not the same for everyone. They're not just all wax. Sometimes we make like weird tall guys. We make people that look just like us. We make copyright infringement. And then fucking Mojo Jojo shows up. Yeah, we love the McCracken extended family
That's funny.
universe.
Yeah. I also didn't know until I was looking this up. Frankie's shirt, that's the Powerpuff Girls on her shirt.
Oh, let me look
Yeah.
this up.
Like a kind of simplified version of the Powerpuff Girls.
Oh my god, you're right. Oh my
Yeah.
god. Here it is
Which
for folks
is
at home.
pretty cool.
There you go.
Yeah, the wide variety of friends that we see here, and really great. Like when we're home at Mac's house, it's gray. It's
Yes.
gray,
Sad.
muted tones, sad. Everything is like pretty boring. It's not even super detailed in every part of it. And when we're at Foster's, colorful, full, wide range of colors. This room's entirely blue. There's like a rainbow spectrum of stuff. That guy's purple and furry, and this guy's a tiny little yellow bug. Um, I love that contrast and just how um, I don't know, like expansive the color palette is
Hmm.
when we get to Foster's. It looks really cool.
Yeah, Will's tour is a great picture of all of that.
Uh-huh.
Essentially, just giving the viewer like exposition that like this house is basically infinite. It's functionally infinite. We got a
Hmm.
laundry room, we got a dining room, we have like these rooms that you are going to see again. But then we also just have like a blue room, a green room, a long room, a tall room, a short room, and you're like, yeah, this is
Hmm.
the way that a big house felt when you were a kid.
Hmm.
They don't get into it enough in this episode. They kind of do. They don't get into it enough. The way that Mac and Blue talk to each other feels like the way kids talk to each other.
Hmm.
I love their like use of stims, the way that they will like repeat little phrases a lot. It's very Finn and Jake, but even
Hmm.
more to me, it felt more realistic. Where I was like, yeah, that's how I used to talk. Um, and sometimes I'd have annoying characters that would just yell a lot. I'm looking at you,
Hmm.
cheese. I'm looking at you, cheese. It's on site.
um, yeah, but it does feel similar to Finn and Jake. In the sort of like there's this grounded protagonist character and then the more outlandish one who's like puts himself out there, moves the plot forward,
Yes.
but is also like a little bit more mature in some ways. And the way that these two connect with each other is what you're describing. They have such an idiosyncratic way of communicating
Mm-hmm.
that as an audience you're like, oh, these two are bonded for life. Like
Yes.
they could be super different, have totally different dispositions to situations, but you're not ever really questioning like, are they gonna get mad at each other or get into a fight? It's like it doesn't work like that. This is a completely
Mm-hmm.
symbiotic relationship between them, which is a fun dynamic.
I wish I love Wolfblade, but imagine if I named my imaginary friend who was my best friend Blue Regard Q Kazoo. Oh, I just noticed something really clever that this pilot does that I didn't think about until now.
What's that?
Terrence chases the kids around and says, "Wait, stop! I just want to punch you." Talk about generational trauma. Later on, when Bluesky said water for the first time and he's scared of him, he says, "Wait, stop! I just want to punch you."
Wow, I didn't notice that.
You ever think about that?
That's good.
Yeah. Same exact line. We learned from our elders. Don't ever be mean to Eduardo or I'll kill you. Eduardo is sweet and precious and has never done anything wrong. Okay? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Claro que
Mm-hmm.
sí.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
There's also, there's a statement being made there, I think, about xenophobia.
yes.
And
You're weird. You're foreign. You don't speak like we do. What's going on there?
you must be a monster. I'm scared of you. Oh, you're so chill. Wow.
Oh,
Never
we
mind.
should go smoke. That sounds great. Dude, I would party with everybody here.
Oh
This
my
is the
god.
ideal blunt rotation. It's Coco. Coco, rolls something. Never mind.
Oh
Never
my
mind. Never mind.
god,
Never mind. Never mind.
Coco.
She says Coco. Sorry, last thing. This is actually an example of the like fast kids dialogue I'm talking about. Coco, Blue, yes. Coco, yes. Coco, yes. Coco, yes. Coco, yes, with marshmallows. And he's like, Wilt's like, she's not asking you. And then he goes, well, what's she saying? And then he goes, would you like something to drink? Ah, I love it. I love it. These shows make me so fucking happy, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Mhm.
Any other notes before we move on?
What I called you at the beginning of the episode is a reference to a
Yes, the TV.
laugh out loud moment that I had. Blue overhears that Mac's mom wants Mac to get rid of him. Then he's like up late switching through the channels, and all the channels are like, say goodbye to your best friend. You got the blues, chase the blues away. And then he lands on a channel that is this documentary about the Grand Canyon. And we're sitting in this for a good 15 seconds. Like, the Grand Canyon is a beautiful thing in nature and one of the deepest, deepest depressions the world has ever known.
Oh my god.
It's so funny. Uh,
That's like the
the
best
show's a few moments like that where it's the humor is like long pause, punchline.
punchline.
Yeah.
It respects your patience as a kid. You don't just like
Yes.
joke, line, joke. Again, sometimes they do that. This literal show will go on to do episodes where there are too many jokes trying to be funny for too long. I'm looking at you, cheese. Yeah, I loved that bit. That was so funny. They even brought it back in the credits. If you watch through the credits, they like do
Uh-huh.
that bit for
Yep.
longer.
Yep.
I think I had one more. No, I just think it's funny that Mac and Blue didn't realize that Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends is a foster home. That's great. That's just something funny about that. Shall we take it home with our last show of the night?
Yes, let's do it.
Come on, grab your friends. It's time to talk about Adventure Time. We watched the first episode of Adventure Time, which is called Slumber Party Panic. Adventure Time was created by Pendleton Ward, and this episode was written and storyboarded by Adam Muto and Elizabeth Ito. It was directed by Larry Leichleiter, and it aired April 5th, 2010. John, what happened in Slumber Party Panic?
In this episode, Finn and Princess Bubblegum must protect the Candy Kingdom from a horde of candy zombies they accidentally created without the citizens of the Candy Kingdom finding out. So we recently did a pilot chats on our Patreon for Adventure Time. That's a bonus series we do from time to time where we watch the first episodes of TV shows that we're considering covering for the main feed. We actually watched 6 episodes of Adventure Time for that because they're so short. So this was us revisiting, and that was pretty recent. That was last month. So this was us revisiting this one episode, which is only 11 and a half minutes long for the sake of Toon Couch, Toon Madness. We don't need to go super in depth into personal history with Adventure Time, but do you want to give your quick version of it for the main feed folks?
Yeah, I was just thinking like what's bare minimum that like somebody who did not listen to that Patreon episode needs, but without over repeating ourselves for the people who did listen to it. So did not watch a lot of Adventure Time as it aired, heard about it later. One summer after graduating high school, I was like, I want to watch all of Adventure Time. And I tapped out after like 1.5 seasons because there wasn't enough storyline stuff that I actually cared about. And then I heard that season 3 is when they really double down on the heavy like lore and it becomes a lore animated show. And I never got there, and I was always curious about it. What about you?
Yeah, I never watched it. It was in my head an example of like there are these 2010s shows that people my age seem to like, and I can't quite get a vibe on what their love of it is exactly, but I know there's like a real fandom around Adventure Time, and I think I just wasn't super interested in exploring what that meant. And really, it was watching Steven Universe with my partner. You know, whenever we did that a year and a half or so, 2 years ago, I can't remember now. Where I was like, oh, maybe I should revisit this stretch of animated series and see if I could enjoy that. That I started to reevaluate Adventure Time and what I had, the preconceptions I'd built up around it. So it was really fun to watch it for that pilot chats episode, and I came out of it being like, oh yeah, I'd watch a bunch of this. This is a funny show.
Did you have any major or like significant new revelations besides stray notes upon rewatching this episode?
One thing that stuck out to me is a character. There's like the little elephant character, Tree Trunks.
Yep.
Who shows up a few episodes later. Who it's like, oh yeah, there's a random character they're talking to named Tree Trunks.
Yeah, she's here.
Fourth episode,
party.
she's here in the party episode, which made me re-look at who's in the party and be like, oh, interesting. Are we gonna go hang out with like this cupcake guy who takes his shirt off more later? That's fun. So that was kind of the big thing, is looking at the show through the lens of they're going to make a whole bunch of this, and somebody might come back and say, wait a minute, that guy who's like a candy corn with 3 candy corns stacked on top of each other, that's a whole guy. Let's spend an episode about that guy.
Run that back.
And that was kind of exciting to notice that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a testament to.
What about you?
I think I think it's a testament to how good Pendleton Ward's character designs are that even after he leaves the show, people are like, I don't want to make a new one of those. I want to do more of what you did. I learned that I didn't get any details, but like, you know, I believe it's Mr. Cream Puff who's dead at the beginning of the episode, and Princess Bubblegum's like dissecting him, and she has that quick line where she's like, "Oh yeah, we used to date." Season 5, we get a throwaway line where Princess Bubblegum's like, "Oh yeah, that guy, yeah, I'm dating him." It's like a prequel episode. She's like, "Yeah, I dated Mr. Cream Puff," and you're like, that's so interesting. It's the thing that we talk about where you're like, you don't have to reference everything. It's okay, but Adventure Time is actually a really dense show when you rewatch it and you think about everything.
Yeah.
The volume of jokes and little line deliveries, you're like, I found all new things in this. I found that Mr. Cream Puff she used to date. I love the different things that Finn says when he cheers. They're so quick. But early on he says algebraic. And then when he's forced to do math later, Princess Bubblegum's like, you don't know how to do math. So this kid just says algebraic for fun. You might not even know what algebra is. That's a beautiful little detail I caught on this time. Terrible at it. Little characters at the party that I love. Manfred the Pinata. Starchy the Gravedigger, who just dies from fright. He's the first one to die. Starchy whatever happened to Starchy? It's so good. I really love the French Strawberry who doesn't get a name. They go truth or dare, and she goes, Mr. Cupcake, I dare you to take off your wrapper. It's like she's essentially asking a man to strip naked in front of her. It's just incredible. And then they cut away because Jake's like, so Finn, why did you? And then they come back and someone goes, I didn't know he was chocolate. I died. This fucking show is very funny.
Yeah.
It's like quick. When everybody's dancing and Finn wants to be like, yeah, keep on dancing. He goes, yeah, dance it, bust it up.
Watching this show back to back with all of these other cartoons in this division, it feels like Adventure Time is it's like, guys, we thought we were gonna have 22 minutes, but we only have 11. Let's go.
Then, jokes.
Instead of like trimming the script down and making it an 11-minute thing, they're like, great, we're gonna go twice as fast and we're gonna forget some lines in there and just make them up as we go. That like frenetic almost like improvisational feeling vibe to the dialogue is so fun.
Yes.
And I can't think of another show that quite captures the joy of like the moment you said where Finn says algebraic. Like that stuck out to me too. Yeah. And it's just a word. He's just saying a word that sounds like it could mean radical.
It does not mean that.
It doesn't mean that, but it sure feels like it could. And isn't that fun?
You know what it reminded me of? When I was a kid and I watched Ed and Eddie, I didn't understand the line that you love where Double D goes, inconclusive, Eddie. And I was like, what the fuck is inconclusive? Why are we just saying algebraic? You nailed it. It's like you condensed a longer episode of TV into like the tightest possible thing and made it every single second. Boop, ba, 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 ba. It's poetic. Dance it, bust it up. We need blindfolds, and they just pull a bunch of like blindfolds off a girl and they go, thanks, Taffy girl. Hold on, who was that? You just pulled off her skin? What was that? No.
You're not gonna explain that? Okay.
Even though they have this whole royal promise thing that they're like, oh, you can't break a royal promise, and then it's an when they first are lifted into air, and it's an ice cream gumball machine that breathes fire. Finn looks at it and goes, that's stupid. We talked in the Patreon episode about how sometimes Adventure Time felt like it was, it was inspired by Penn Ward and his friends, like playing D&D. That's kind of a thing that you'd hear in like kids playing D&D, where you're like, the dragon rises out of the air. And they're like, that's fucking dumb. You're like, oh, Well, now the whole fiction is ruined, but thank you, Tony. Appreciate that.
You
That's,
just said algebraic, you asshole. Like, you're
yeah.
not allowed. Yeah.
You can't just look at that and say
Oh my
that's
god.
stupid.
Hmm.
And I think that's what makes the like 2010s hot topic meme humor rise out of this show, because it's so quick and it's so easy to like
Sure.
latch onto and hyperfixate on one line of dialogue. Like the episode ends with someone saying, "Don't squeeze me, I'll fart," and I was like, that is funny, but also that's like a thing I've seen on a T-shirt.
Right. Yeah. It's full of stuff that's like, this is not going to be funny when one comments it on social media 10 times 5 years from now. Like,
Uh-huh.
that's not going to be funny. But here in this context where it feels, because I think it takes it out of what makes it work here, which is this feeling of like it's kind of extemporaneous, or it's like responding to the scenario in
Yes.
that D&D sort of way. um but then it becoming memeified,
Yes.
it's like, well, now it's not this like of the moment thing
Mm-hmm.
anymore. um yeah, like I've noticed, I watch a lot of Smosh, the
Mm-hmm.
YouTube channel,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll do like, they play board games or things, and they're funny people saying funny stuff. And
Sure.
every once in a while, a cast member will comment on something another cast member said, like, "Oh, that's funny. That's a T-shirt." And it's like, I don't like that. I don't that that isn't amusing to me to get take yourself out of the situation and imagine like this being on a piece of merch.
Yes.
And that's nothing against them, because I think if I was playing a board game that was being filmed for YouTube, I would probably do the same thing. Be like, "Whoa, that was really funny. That'd be so funny if that was on a T-shirt." Like, the concept of it is so funny to me.
Yeah.
Um, but you do lose something when you take a thing that's like joyful and delightful because it feels like it's coming out of the energy of the moment, and you like put it somewhere else that isn't in that moment anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. That it's like I like Adventure Time, and I don't want merch Adventure Time, because I think a lot of this out of context just isn't funny the way it was when you're watching it.
Yeah.
Don't squeeze me, I'll fart is very funny because it's the last line of an episode that Iris ends. That's it. I don't want a shirt. I don't want I'm sick of shirts. Um, Another detail I loved really quickly.
Sure.
I'm sick of shirts. Me wearing a fucking hot to go pizza shirt. Come on, this kid likes shirts.
That's a good shirt.
Thank you, my friend. I'm obsessed with how Jake walks sometimes. Jake is such an interesting character design because he's this big,
Yeah.
stocky dog, brown, yellowy dog with really long, spindly legs. And there's a part at the end of the episode where
He's
they're
very
walking.
noodly, like his kind of mustache and stuff.
Yeah, he looks like you could just pull him and like stretch him. And he
Yep.
does, because there's a part where he's walking somewhere at the end, and I cannot describe it to you, listener, but he is laid back about 90 degrees, but he's almost an L. His body forms an L and just doop 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 doop. And I'm like, that's a Pendleton Award thing. It's like people don't walk normal,
Mhm.
It's like Courage the Cowardly Dog. People have weird feet, and
Mhm.
on any Craig McCracken show, people have weird eyes, and then in Adventure Time, people have to have a weird walk. They have a weird fucked up walk or strange legs.
Mhm.
And I love it
Mhm.
because I think cartoons don't have to conform to. It's like they teach you when you're a kid how to draw, and you're like, I don't know how to draw people and make it feel like people. And folks like Penn Ward and McCracken and Faust and all these folks figured out, like, I don't need my characters to look realistic. That is not what good cartooning looks like.
Mhm.
So real humans look weird. We don't all have, equal length legs, perfectly sized proportions. I'm going to give Jake
Mhm.
fucking weird legs. Sometimes you see a dog with weird legs. I don't care. That's funny looking.
Mhm.
And it becomes its own sort of reality, that I think,
Yeah.
again, watching this with everything else, I was like, I love the cartoon universe that we get to be in for the show.
Yeah. Agreed.
But yeah, there's a lot of Adventure Time if we decide to watch this. A lot.
A lot of Adventure Time.
And apparently coming back. I think I just read somewhere recently, new episodes ordered for HBO Max. So we'll see if that becomes relevant to us in the future. Magellan, It's time to make some decisions.
Let's make us some decisions. Okay.
I did a bit yesterday that Kelly really loved. Where we were like, we had kind of like a long afternoon and we're like getting a little tired. The sun's like setting. We're in a beautiful part of Boston, the best restaurants you've ever seen. I'm holding a bag of like 15 pounds of laundry. I'm like, ugh, I'm so tired. And then I just take on the voice of like an 8-year-old kid and I go, no buco de beppos around here. And she's like, I haven't thought about that restaurant in a decade. Why did you say that? No buco de beppos around here? Fuck, man. What the hell? And we did this whole like backstory for the character who would say that, and his mom and his dad, his deadbeat dad. It's great. Anyways, we gotta make a choice. So each of us remind me how this works.
Each of us gets one to take to the next round, and we can have a little pre-discussion here. But
okay.
This is a tricky one.
Yeah.
I think courage isn't making it. Is my sense. I think courage is. I think it's really cool. I don't know that I want to watch a bunch of Courage the Cowardly Dog, and I don't think it beats these other shows.
I didn't know that in 2021 they made a crossover Courage the Cowardly Dog Scooby-Doo movie.
Yeah, that is something we could watch.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, there's Courage. That one I agree. I think is out for contention. Great show. Yeah. Great couple episodes. I would watch more in a different context. And honored to be selected. I think Samurai Jack is just a must. I need to watch this show in my lifetime. This reminds me of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm like, I think there's juice here. I know, but the thing is, I also know it's like not a dialogue heavy show. So does it end up being a lot of us being like, and that was cool, and that was fucking cool. You know what else was cool? That part. Is that an issue worth considering? Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a part of me that's like, I just gotta watch the episode where they go to the future. Like, I just want to see that cool.
Yeah, just finish the pilot. Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. This is tough. Because I think it's like 3 shows that I want to watch more of, and I also know they probably don't have the sauce to make it all the way. Like maybe Samurai Jack does. Maybe Adventure Time, if we want to watch like a bunch of it per episode, does.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, but I just love Foster Son for Imaginary Friends so much.
I think you should take it.
But then what are you going to take?
I know what I'm going to take. Are we voting?
Okay, I guess we're voting. Should we put it in Discord or what?
What was our rule last time? Why did we have a coin flip? Is it to decide who gets to keep first? Was that the point of the coin flip?
Yeah, why don't we do that? Yeah, let's do that. Coin flip.
Let me see if I can actually get the fucking Google coin flip to work this time. That was so funny last week. I've been playing a deck in the Pokemon TCG that relies heavily on coin flips, and I've been having a really bad time because I hate coin flipping. Flip 1 virtual coin, and I want it to be a silver Equa Roman Empire coin. Okay. All right, so here we go, listener. This is gonna be. I'm gonna flip again. I'm gonna call it. So heads is you. Actually, no, that's not how calling it works. I will take heads, please.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Sounds good.
That's heads.
Okay.
So I get to go first. And I get to keep the show, right?
Yeah.
God, you're right. This is hard. No, I'll keep Samurai Jack. Fuck it. Lock it in. Samurai Jack moves on.
Wow. Congrats, Samurai Jack.
Thank you, sweetheart. Gotta get back to the past, Samurai Jack. What's your keep? I can help you make this decision. Sounds like your heart is between what, Adventure Time and Foster's?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is testing Oh, do you want food? Let me give these cats food, and maybe they can give me an idea.
Yeah, ask them what they think.
Yeah. Hey guys, I know you're hungry. As you're eating, I want you to consider, when you're making a decision, do you choose with your heart or do you choose with your brain? What do you guys think?
Oh, whoa. Wow.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think the thing that's tough, my heart says Foster's. So I think the principle of the season is we get to make kind of selfish, this is not quite the word I want to use, but selfish choices in this round. Um, but it's like, but should I pick Adventure Time because that's like the right show to pick? I don't know. I'm gonna pick Foster's, but I'm curious what people think about that choice.
Yeah, me too. I like it. Foster's is kind of a solved issue, right? Like it's a show that had an ending. It's not, and I know Adventure Time did too, but it also has spin-offs and a continuation and comics. Like it's such a multimedia thing. That's nothing wrong with that. That's something else to analyze. Is like, do you want the like tight nostalgic? That's part of what TCTM is, right? Is like let's enjoy something from our childhood or think about things that we enjoyed as kids. So for us, that would be Foster's. I agree.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
And no one's doing that. It's like Untapped. I don't know of a Foster's Home podcast.
Right. So that means that the next round of Cartoon Network Daytime has whittled down from 8 to 4, and those 4 shows are Ed, Edd and Eddy, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Samurai Jack, and Steven Universe. Exciting, fun stuff. Before we started recording today, we were discussing programming the season, and we were like, oh, you know what? We've been saying that the way that these divisions are going to work is we do the first 2 or this first round of 8, and then we do an episode that's the round of 4. But for the sake of giving people time to kind of digest and offer us thoughts on which shows are the most intriguing to them, and giving us time to kind of like step away, come back, we're thinking the best way to do it is actually do the rounds of 8 across the board for all the divisions, then loop back, do these rounds of 4 after that. So it's going to be a bit before you hear us make the decision from amongst Cartoon Network Daytime which of those 4 will progress into the bracket. And we're going to move on to our next division next week. So our next slate of 8 shows are going to be our mecha shows. And that's exciting, right? Some mecha.
Get in the robot
people
Shinji.
getting into robots. Yeah, and we didn't put Neon Genesis Evangelion on here, and I was going to push for it, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't push for it.
We have a later category that I might fit in that we haven't locked in yet.
You're right. You're right. Okay, we can return to that later. But for now, the mecha shows that we're going to be watching starting next week are After War Gundam X, Armored Trooper Vodum's Fang of the Sun Dogram? How do you say that?
I think it's Dogram, actually.
Dogram. Macross, Mobile Suit Gundam, Pat Labor, The Big O, and Turn A Gundam.
Not 1, not 2, but 3 Gundam shows. So good.
Yeah. So we should probably figure out which of these we're doing next week, which means we'll need to random number generate a number from 1 through 8.
I don't know. Should we do the Gundam ones in order?
Oh, we could and do those together.
No, we don't have to do them together. Maybe that's interesting. It's like week 1 is Gundam stuff and 1 more show, and then week 2 is not Gundam stuff.
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah, I guess that's fine. Just because both After War Gundam X and especially Turn A Gundam are very much like they exist in the context, as Kamala Harris once said, they exist in the context of their environment. So maybe it's week 1 is Mobile Suit Gundam, then after War Gundam X, and then Turn A, and a fourth thing, and then week 2 is whatever is left.
Okay, so then let's random number 1 to 5 to figure out what goes with the Gundams.
Sure.
Random number 1 to 5. Bum 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 ba da ba da da. 3, which is Macross.
Oh, I've always wanted to watch it.
So for next week, we are watching After War Gundam X, Macross, Mobile Suit Gundam, and Turn A Gundam.
Oh, Peak. We're watching Peak next week. Oh my god.
Peek behind the curtain.
These are all really good shows. I have watched the first episode, or maybe first two, a couple of Macross. I fell off, but I heard it got amazing. So, what if a pop star was in a show with? It was a show about music and robots. That's what I'm trying to say. It's great, from what I hear. Awesome. That's next week. Moving on, Magellan, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on another podcast that I do with my friend Justin called Super Smash Echoes, where we play video games related to the Super Smash Brothers franchise. Super Smash Echoes. Check it out. You can also find me on Bluesky at not-that-magellan.bsky.social and read some of my writing on Ghost at not-that-magellan.ghost.io. Alan, what about you?
You can hear me on a couple other podcasts, mainly the Creature Quorum, which is a Pokemon podcast I do with my good friend Six over on scanlinemedia.com. We are working our way through the Kanto games. Six is currently in the process of getting ready to move, so basically most Scanline stuff is on pause, but we will be resuming Scanline functions in the near future. So stay tuned on the Creature Quorum for more Pokemon talk, and the Garnet Wager for more Korean game show and storytelling in the coming months. Those are my main ones. And then I'm on Bluesky at Ibrahim, AIBRAHIM. It's time for the plug zone. It's time for Tell Me Bye Bye. Magellan, it's even episode, so can you please?
You can get in touch with the show in a few different ways. You can email us at chatzpod.bsky.social with questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, requests, thoughts, all that stuff. You can follow the show on Bluesky at chatzpod. Every instance of chatzpod is spelled CHATZPOD. We are on YouTube, where you can see video version of the show, Chatz Television Podcast on YouTube, and you can find an audio version of the show pretty much, wherever you would find that, and rate us, review us, share us, wherever you do happen to find the show. Consider also supporting us financially on Patreon at patreon.com/chatspod at $1, $3, or $5 a month. $1 a month gets you on the Discord, $3 gets you twice monthly bonus content, and $5 gets you thanked right here at the end of every episode. Thank you to Stefan, Six, Noel, Nick of the Brothers at Infinite War, MP, my mom, Marcus, Lee, Kyrie, girlfriend of the podcast, Kelly, Justin, Jen, Felicia, Emerus, Emily, Arthur, and fiancé of the podcast, Amanda. Thank you, folks, for supporting the show. Thank you also to Camilla at Camillastrator for our podcast art. Now it's time, Alan, for something for people to chew on, snack on between now and next time. A little pickle of a suggestion. A chatsum. What's your chatsum for this week?
Why was the Teletubbies announcer girl like kind of cunty? She goes, the duck goes quack, quack, quack. Duck goes quack. You're like, damn, I get it. And then she goes, time for Tubby Bye Bye. Time for Tubby Bye Bye.
Tubby Bye Bye.
Okay.
All right, if you say so.
Okay, if I must. My chats, I'm looking it up. What is it called exactly? It's a new podcast that just started coming out, and it's called TV is Good. And it is from Catherine Van Arendonk and Alan Sepinwall. These are two storied TV critics who've been in the biz for a while. I think Van Arendonk's a little bit newer, so it's kind of like new and old, not new versus old, but new and old. So the premise, there are only 2 episodes in. They do a new show. They talk about a new airing show, and then they talk about an old show that is related to the new show. So I believe in episode 1, they talked about Maximum Pleasure Guaranteed, which is like a new like woman does crime show, and then they talked about Weeds, also a woman does crime show. And then in episode 2, they talked about Star City, which is a spin-off of For All Mankind, and then they talked about Outlander. So it's basically people with 2 different types of expertise. Catherine tends to talk more about like dramas and reality TV, and Allen as like is more like the prestige television and like serialized stuff. So really great expertise coming from both of them. It's a well-produced show. Alan Sepinwall, come on the podcast. Catherine Rainier, come on the podcast. Let's do a crossover. Run it back. I would love to have them on. I think Sepinwall especially has been like a big inspiration for me getting into TV criticism. And I RIP too long didn't watch his COVID podcast that I really liked. But this is kind of filling that same hole, so I recommend it.
Awesome.
What about you?
This is a YouTube channel that I watched a video from, or I haven't even finished it. I've watched a little bit of it, but I was like, this is pretty good. Today I watched this. The video is Rock, Paper, Scissors 2, and it's this reflection on, can you improve the game Rock, Paper, Scissors? And like, okay, sure, you could add more gestures to it, but let's really think about the game design of Rock, Paper, Scissors. The channel is called Fractal Philosophy, and it's this video game programmer who is doing video essays on topics within game design, but also adjacent to it. It's about
42 minutes.
I know, right? So anyway, it's lots of great visuals and it's amusing. So I'm impressed with the like 10 minutes I've watched already of this video essay, enough that I can recommend the channel and that particular video essay, Fractal Philosophy, specifically Rock, Paper, Scissors 2.
Excellent. Toon Couch, Toon Madness, Episode 2, Part 2, Rock, Paper, Scissors 2. Can we fit any more 2s in here? There's 2 of us. And that's Two's Company, if you think about it. If you don't think about the number 3, that doesn't exist. It will next week, though, when we come back for another episode of Toon Couch, Toon Madness. Stay silly. Goodbye, everyone.